Well, hey, Gundam Maniacs, welcome to another episode of Gundam Explained. In this episode, we're going to be talking to 16th. He is a Gunpla builder, streamer, speedrunner. We'll get into that. But I've noticed, 16th, your stuff from in our Discord, the Gundam Explained Discord, you would post. And the thing that would stand out to me is the diorama, because it's like something I have always wanted to have in my collection easily set up so I can take the pictures of the stuff I built. So yeah, how you're going, how are you doing, and what inspired you to build the diorama?
Oh man, I've been doing toy photography for a while, and I usually use like a blue sheet for the backdrop and then just throw like a brown or green towel or something down, and that was my setup for years. Gundam MSIA, modern G.I. Joes.
Oh, that's cool.
And then when I got back into Gunpla here, because I started way back and took a break, and I was like, the Lightbox photos, not knocking anybody's work on it, but it's cool. You show off your work, you get a good clean shot. But I didn't want to do that either. I wanted something a little bit different, so I set up a little, I guess you could call it diorama, a few buildings from Tommy Tech. They have train scale buildings, but they're making like destroyed buildings. They got like a Diocom or something, Dio combat line, to where it's like weathered up, destroyed buildings and stuff like that. So I started buying those and just using those as the backdrop for photos. But it was a kind of small, it was probably about maybe 10 inches deep for that shelf. So it wasn't a lot of display. So I was like, I had a pile of boxes sitting in the corner there. I was like, I'm going to clean those out and I'm going to use that space. I'm going to put a diorama there. So I cleaned out all the built boxes and just kind of used some reclaimed wood from projects that we had here at the house, and an old like TV stand for, the old tube TVs. Yeah. And I just threw the board down on there, screwed it down, and then used like this foam. Got like a big sheet of that. Yeah. So just cut that out, throw that down. But then you got to paint it. There's a process to it. Oh, but yeah. It's not that hard. It just maybe a week's work, you could have something like that. But the biggest thing for most people, understandably, is the space, because that's 2 foot by 4 foot. That's a pretty big spot. I'd love to expand it, but my living space is kind of cramped. As you can see, my little kitchenette back here, my guitar amps. And,
classic. Seeing the musical instruments among like that. But that's neat. You brought up the space thing. That's the biggest thing with me is space. And so I've even thought, and I haven't done this yet, but just taking like shelves that I already have and like, okay, maybe I can incorporate like what you've done. Maybe at least put like a black sheet or a blue sheet in the background. I got some of those buildings you were talking about. I've seen even Ian, the mod over Sneaky-sama over on Gundam Explained, has been doing a lot of that stuff. And yeah, and then when I see yours, and I'll have some photos shown up here as we're talking about it, we can see like, you're right. It's the next level of, I guess, toy photography. And it's funny you started that, because before I got into Gunpla, I actually was doing toy photography with Star Wars action figures. And so you said you were also doing G.I. Joe and stuff?
G.I. Joe, Gundam MSIA. I had like a little MySpace web series. It was, kind of silly comedy, but that was, almost 20 years ago now, thinking about it. So,
you're really
around the community, Gundam Plus 2. I was like a mod for their Gunpla and, collectible section back when they were around. That was a Canadian site at I don't think they've been around since like 2008 or so. So, I've been in the community for a while, you could say, but.
Well, yeah, glad to have you then, like, around with us, because that's kind of why I wanted to open that space in the Discord, is to see what else everyone else comes up with. And then when I see it, I'm like, oh, dang, I got to do that. And
like you said, Sneaky-sama does some incredible poses. There's like Toy.
Yeah, he's another one. Yep.
Real nice stuff.
Really good.
Gunpla, but on a budget. I know he's on Instagram, and he's also in there. I like his work a lot too. He does really good, clean custom paint jobs and stuff. So there's a lot of fantastic people. Don't get me wrong. So like, why me? But that diorama kind of is, I think, what wins over most of the people.
And you almost even have that going on right next to you also, because the argument with that for the background, that's like a perfect idea, because that doesn't take up too much space, but you can maximize that.
Right. I mean, if I wanted to, I could probably cut a couple holes in the. It's like a tapestry from Amazon, glow in the dark star tapestry. So, like I said, you could cut a couple little holes or whatever to drill it in there, and then mount that up on there. You can even mount the white base deck up on the wall the same way.
Yeah. Yeah, that looks good. Curious, what for camera, do you do anything special? Do you just use your cell phone, or do you have a DSLR? Or?
I love using the camera, like a DSLR. I got an old Alpha 100 Sony. And it does fantastic shots, macro shots and everything. I mean, you could nitpick cameras all day long, but my cell phone is just so much handier to use. And
nowadays what they can do, it's pretty
right.
Great.
If I want to post to Instagram, I'd have to take the photos, dump them on the computer, plug the phone in, copy them over to the cell phone, and then upload them to Instagram, because I don't think that they even let you upload stuff via computer anymore. I'm not sure. Last time I tried, you couldn't.
Yeah, what I've been doing lately is I have a Sony Alpha also, the 6000. It happens to have NFC. And so what I'll do is I'll touch my phone to my camera and it will grab the pictures.
Right.
But still, I know what you're talking about. There's something about, especially when we're in the Gundam Explained Discord, or you or Toy Toy or Sneaky Sama or whoever posts something, and then it's like, oh, I want to also. It's so much easier just to have my cell phone out, be like, okay, this is what I can set up real quick, and then send it. Like, instead of taking the time to like get the depth of field, the lighting, it's like sometimes in that moment, it's like we can kind of share what we're doing with our figures.
It's true, because a lot of times somebody will ask me a question about a building on the set, or want to see it just kind of zoomed out, the whole thing, and all right, I just snap a picture and then bam, get back on Discord and upload it, so very convenient. Like I said, it used to be I have to have the old Kodak camera, the old digital camera, 8 megapixel or whatever, take a bunch of pictures and recharge the batteries, plug it into the computer, and now your phone just kind of trumps all that, connectivity. It's great.
It allows it allows us to like quickly connect. Yeah, and so we're gonna move on in just a second to your Gunpla, but before then, I wanted to share, because like you stream on Twitch. Right, and I'm gonna have the link below. And like, what is your schedule for that? Sundays?
Sunday nights usually. So pretty much after this wraps up, I'll probably start kind of prepping for that, getting ready, have a quick, dinner. But I've been on there for quite a while, probably like 2012, and I used to stream like GoldenEye races. I used to stream, obscure Super Nintendo games, Metal Warriors. Mech games, stuff like that.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
Contra Hardcore. Anyway, so I've been on there for a while.
We could probably talk about that for a while.
Right. And just recently, I kind of, all right, you know what? I'm going to crack down. I'm going to hit affiliate. I hit the 50 follower metric. You need certain goals on there. So
congrats.
I had the 50th. So I was like, all right, so all I got to do is just stream a few times, get the hours in, and keep that view count up. And the Gunpla community on Twitch is lovely. They came in clutch. They helped me out. They're still coming in, popping in, and saying hi and stuff. So it's great. There's a lot of great Twitch streamers for Gunpla.
There are
Gunpla sisters.
I
consider them my underlings. No, seriously. Like, I saw them probably about a year ago. Joined up, started chatting, and watching their skills grow has been real fun. Asked for some advice. Chat's been pretty helpful. I'm always in there, and me, I'm always giving advice.
Yeah, I know, it's great. And then, but also, and I didn't know this until recently, but that you were speed running. So you were doing Rise from the Ashes, which that's pretty cool, because the other day I was thinking, man, maybe there's a game I should pick to speed run. And I was thinking like Quack Shot on the Sega Genesis. That's like an old favorite of mine. But Rise from the Ashes is a good idea.
I've played that since about the time it came out. Like I saw maybe a week worth of Gundam Wing episodes, and then I saw that at the mall at the EB Games. They had it hooked up, so I played it, and like I was just hooked. And I was like, didn't know what's going on. These Leos look weird. What's up?
Yeah,
this Gundam mass produced. Okay, whatever. I didn't understand at the time, but that really kind of brought me into UC and wrote me in from there. I remember buying that game, and then a couple of days later buying 0080, the first VHS way back, like 2000 or so. Yeah, so that really cemented it.
That's cool. Yeah, everyone's got their origin story. But yeah, let's jump into the Gunpla. Yeah, if you want to show off your first one.
Well, this one I like to call a lazy custom because it's a ground type. And I based it off of Lost War Chronicles, but all I really did was paint the blue parts orange.
Yeah.
So, it didn't really need painted on the gray because it was already supposed to be that way. So I just kind of took some liberties and painted it orange. This is from the Land War set.
Oh, yeah. That comes with the little tanks.
Right. Well. That's the older before the Revive.
That looks good. That color looks good for that.
Right. And it came out pretty nice.
Yeah.
I actually spray primered it and then hand brushed the orange. And I mixed like 50% matte medium, 50% orange. And it came out a little bit darker than I wanted, but it turned out pretty nice. I probably could have gave it a couple more coats, but it would have darkened it up. And then this one here is the Barzam. I did this on stream not too long ago. This is more simple. I panel line it, more my usual route. I panel line everything on the runner, give it a quick clean up, snap it together, clean up any of the excess panel liner I didn't get, throw some decals on them.
And those decals, is that something you just bought on this, or did it come with it?
Yeah, these were the Bandai.
The Bandai one's cool.
Right. And, they're tricky until you kind of learn, use some hot water.
Yeah.
Set them on a wet pallet for a minute, work on some stuff and then come back to them, give them a little poke. And if they slide, they're good to go. If they don't, maybe give them another dip. But
yeah. But I like that. I like how you had it. It's just minimal enough. Like there's enough on it that give it the look I like, where it looks like some sort of real world weapon with the markings.
Right, because it's like I like the origin decal design, but sometimes it's a little bit too much.
Right, I agree.
And speaking of, moving on to the next one, this is the Real Type Mark II AU, which he was full decal, everything that was on the sheet, tops and shoulders. It might not be 100% perfect. And, I could understand why some people would be hesitant to show their work because there's going to be that one person, hey, that decal on the back is off by 0.15 degrees. Yeah. And you're like, yeah, I know. And
it's funny because I always think that until I started going, wait a minute, well, let me zoom into this professional Gunpla builders. And I'm like, wait a minute, they're all off. And we got to realize that's kind of how it is at the end of the day. It's just when we look at it as a whole, we don't see it.
Right. And, I once said that we are our own worst critics unless you post on 4chan, and then they're just animals, man. So, I don't know, but please don't kill me, 4chan. I love you guys. Moving on to the next one. This one was a Gelgoog Vish Donahue, which I just spray painted. And I used the Mr. Hobby primer.
Can you bring it up just a bit more?
Sorry. So I used the Mr. Hobby primer, and I should have went with a black because it came out a little bit lighter than I intended. So a gloss black primer would have made the metallic look a little bit better.
Yeah, it still looks great. It comes over really good over the camera.
Right. And he's very shiny, even though I matted him because, it's a very metallic.
That gives up a very unique shine to it. Yeah,
right.
That actually looks pretty good.
But it depends on which version of, the Vish Gelgoog that you look at. The manga's like cut up, stripped down, lightweighted with like kind of extra thrusters on the side, and then the light novel is about this color. I want to say in the PS3 side stories, it was I think it might have been either this kind of lighter emerald or like just the standard olive drab, but I just wanted to do something kind of different.
That's unique. And were the decals Bandai decals also?
No, those are Flaming Snow. They're UV reactive, so if you got like a black light, the yellow and the skull and everything will glow there pretty nice.
Oh, that's cool.
They were very, very thin, like super duper thin, like rolling paper thin, if you get what I'm saying, like thinner than that.
Oh,
so
man.
like trying to fit that onto the shield, I'd drop it on and want to slide it up, and it would either just bunch up or fold over because it was so thin that it just
it's like nightmare inducing. But yeah, and then you try to work on it because you don't want to break it, and it turned out great.
That was actually the third decal. So the first one, it bunched up.
Oh, wow. So you
pulled it off, went with the second, it got on there, but when I was poking at it, it ripped, and then, all right, I'll fix it. And then it bunched up, and I was like, man, all right. I got two more, and I was like, number 3, and I got it to where it was, all right, the paper's about where I want it. It's standing, pulled it, kind of poked at it. Okay, that's as good as it gets. Just call it, because like I said, sometimes you just have to call it at that. You could be a perfectionist about everything, but you're never going to finish. You're going to be a George Lucas, I hate to say it.
I know with those stickers, there's something about it where it's got to be perfect. Smart that you had multiples, because there's times where I haven't had multiples and I'm like, I don't like this, but I know if I move it, I'm going to make it worse.
Well, I had actually a streamer that's in China sent me those because I couldn't find any, and no place in the U.S. stateside had them. There's one place in Ireland. Some people might know who they are. They had it on their website, but out of stock. So I could never get it. And then I was trying to buy them from, I think, like Buy or one of those kind of sites. But they actually wouldn't ship from like Malaysia to the U.S. So he ended up finding them, buying them, and shipping them out to me. And I paid him, hey, here's money back for that, plus a little extra, have a nice dinner kind of thing, So
that's awesome. Just another perk of streaming and connecting with others.
And, it's just one of those very obscure things that, nobody expected. There is a P Bandai set. So that's what, those were for the Goof and the Gelgoog. So I was like, well, I'm going to do a custom of both. So I'll just go ahead and get 2 of those. So lucky I did. And then Bandai actually came out with a side story set like last March.
Yeah, I saw that.
And it's got that. And I was like, well, that's nice.
Yeah.
After I went on a wild goose chase. And
what are you going to do?
Right. And then also, lastly, this one isn't actually by me. This was Gunpla that my friend here in my city did. He goes by Gunpla _TX88 on Instagram. So it's a white dingo. He painted the machine gun, did everything up, did all the decals and all that.
And that is the new GM.
Right.
The Origin GM, right?
This is actually the Slugger, and he painted this one and the shoulder missile. That's over on the diorama right now.
I love the way that looks, because I was thinking of doing that. I never got around to it, but looking at that looks great. Now, the visor, is it just some light that happens to be reflecting to make it look that bright of a blue, or is there like metallic paint underneath it?
I'm not entirely too sure. I know he said that he wanted to use like a clear blue for the visor, and I was like, yeah, go for it, man. That would look great. Whatever you want, So I kind of gave him leeway on the paint. The only thing I said is like, I want these decals to be here because, that's how it is in the game. But, it didn't quite all fit on the shoulder. So it's like, all right, well, it is Origin. So I guess we could say it's the Origin version. Or,
which looks great. In GBO2, have you played GBO2? Yeah.
Yeah, until I got mad at it.
Yeah, no, but what's fun though is just going to the hangar. And so
Yeah.
I got my Rise from the Ashes what are they called from Rise from the Ashes? The GMs? The White Dingo. Oh my god, I don't know why I forgot. But in GBO2 they're actually not accurate. So that was like actually really fun to go in and paint those, and actually they had the decals and put them on.
I mean, like the Bandai HG is not accurate at all.
That's interesting
soft.
Too.
It's like a light blue gray with like a darker kind of blue, and then the master grade even isn't really right. I got the box sitting here. The kit's inside the house, but it's more of, I guess, the manga version where it's kind of more black and white.
Yeah,
but
that's
it's
interesting.
Not that gray purple.
Yeah, the color scheme you've got on that custom, I think, is like what I think of what I see when I think White Dingo. Oh, yeah.
Right, because I mean, if you look at it on GBO2, it's definitely got a dark color scheme to it. The Dreamcast, it's got that kind of dark charcoal purple instead of black, and that dark gray purple, because old CRT TVs didn't display black too good, so
they
tend to go for a darker purple.
Cool. Well, thanks 16th for showing everything. Again, links in the description for anyone interested in following. You'll be streaming, and then also join our Gundam Explained Discord. He posts in there all the time, and you'll see the diorama pics. You'll be inspired every time. So thanks a lot. Any final last words?
No, I mean, thanks for having me out, and give me a minute to talk about, nerd out about some Gunpla, and
heck yeah.
Show off my little studio room here.
I know, it's awesome. Well, cool. Well, all right. Well, everyone, we'll talk later.
All right, thank you, sir. You have a great day.